YouTubers, this is Kevin from Survivor Super Fun Time Show. We had another super fun episode of Survivor 49. A lot of ups, some downs, of course, but that's pretty much as to be expected with Survivor. But for the ups, a lot of really cool stuff. As someone who's like a Rizzo fan, a Blue Sophie, a Savannah fan, it was a good episode for me, but a little bit down for people who are fans of Yellow Sophie, as she's the one voted out of the game. Before we get into too much of the episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button to the channel so we continue to talk about Survivor together moving forward in the season. It's going to be really exciting, especially as we get a little closer to season 50. And kicking off the episode, the recap of what happened with Jawan the night before. Sage is obviously sad about it, wants to know why Yellow Sophie was, one, flipped, and two, did it apparently with a smile on her face. And you know, I'm down with Yellow Sophie going like, listen, I'm not going to apologize for that. I mean, I think that Jawan revealed himself to be a great player, which I'm sure Sage understood, but it still hurts in the moment when you lose your top ally. Because in a way, when you lose your top ally and they get voted out, it's like declaring war on you. I know people will say, listen, it's nothing to do with you. It's totally irrelevant. But the thing is, if you're sitting there and you lost your top ally, it's like, well, you all knew he was my top ally though, right? And you took a shot at him regardless. So when you do that, you wanted to make sure that I didn't have any more steam for some reason. And whether it's directly or indirectly, Sage was right to be pissed off in that moment. And the fact that she was vengeful after that, can't blame her at all. And after the episode, Blue Sophie pretty much commented on Twitter saying, this conversation was much more intense in real life than we saw on the show. But then moving on from that vote, obviously, to the next one, Yellow Sophie is thinking about getting rid of Savannah, the person that she has been aligning with the last couple votes, saying this person is getting too strong. Savannah is becoming too much of a fierce fumbot to be left in this game. We need to get her mechanical ass out of this game. She's 100% right, because as a fan sitting at home, I'm like, Savannah, Rizzo, Blue Sophie, they're doing great. Savannah in particular is really forging her way a path to not only the final three, but to win the whole game in itself. She's doing everything right. Every episode, people want to get rid of her, but they're not. And there's a few players in the history of the game that have that reputation. You know, Boston Rob is one of them, and Parvati Shallow is another one of them. And there's a lot of players that you're like, we just need to get rid of them because they're going to win the game. And for one reason or another, they just don't go. And Savannah right now, she's marching that way. I mean, Rizzo, you could argue Rizzo. Rizzo, I think more people want to just get rid of his idol than get rid of him. But Savannah, she hasn't had an idol, and for some reason, people still want to get rid of her, and people still can't do it. So it's actually really impressive, the game that Savannah is playing right now, and Yellow Sophie is right to try to take her out. And Blue Sophie is also right to be conspiring about getting rid of her, because Blue Sophie knows that ultimately Rizzo and Savannah shouldn't be in the final three seats with her. And I don't think they would want Blue Sophie there either. Although at this point, if we're comparing games, Blue Sophie is no threat to Savannah or Rizzo winning the game. But there's a couple episodes left, so that may change. But Sophie Square talking and making a plan about getting rid of Savannah, really brilliant idea. But getting rid of Steven is also a brilliant idea too. He's got a lot of friends on the jury. He's generally very likable, and he's becoming a challenge beast. So you got to take those people out when you can. I mean, if Rizzo didn't have an idol, would people really be thinking about Rizzo all that much? Now it's just more so like the mystery and the surprise of when his idol actually gets unleashed or when Blue Sophie takes it. That's the main thing surrounding Rizzo now, I think, as a viewer and maybe even as a player. I mean, I love him. I love Savannah, so I'm down, but I'm not sure the threat levels would be the same if he didn't have an idol or he wasn't paired up with Savannah. So that's why I give Savannah a big boost to get to the finals and win right now versus like Rizzo or even Blue Sophie. But Blue Sophie has that knowledge is power in her pocket that can get her some damn respect if she utilizes it correctly within the next episode or so. Now, speaking of making big moves, for some goddamn reason, there's a journey at this point in the game, and the boat comes and says, all right, one of you needs to get on there, you need to make a decision. Now, the note does specifically say it will be draining. You will be exhausted by the end of this journey. And Steven's the only one who's like, all right, I'll go do it, because Steven knows his ass is on the line. His ass is going to be a roasted chicken in a Costco container for $5 if he does not win an immunity challenge or get an advantage of this game. So he does what he's supposed to do, and he gets on the boat and goes. Now, as a fan at home, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you all know, all of you, Yellow Sophie, Blue Sophie, you all were just talking about how Steven cannot get immunity tonight, but for some reason you're not willing to go on the journey and keep him away from it. So at a surface level, it seems like a really bad game level move by all of these players. When you think about it, it really is a calculated risk, because if they said it's going to be some really taxing game then I can understand why they're like, listen, the cost benefit of analysis, maybe I'll get a block a vote, but I don't think I need a block a vote right now. And I'd rather win immunity or save my energy for the next immunity instead. And if this is going to totally drain and deplete me, why would I take it? Someone like Steven is really the only one who can benefit from it in the right way. Like the ROI for Steven versus the ROI for someone like Rizzo, it's probably significantly higher. So even though, as a fan, you sit there, you go like, this was a terrible move letting Steven go, I think I can understand the perspective of the people who just don't want to waste their energy to do it. And boy, Steven does end up exerting a lot of energy in this incredibly boring journey challenge. You got to find the numbers, you got to run around the island, run back and open it up, and you're going to smash something. And Steven does it. He completes it in time. And Steven the genius gets his advantage. And his advantage is just basically a simple block a vote. And the mechanics of it is, once you say, you're going to use the advantage, you have to announce it before tribal council and say, I'm going to block X's vote in secrecy. And then when they get to tribal council, they go to vote and they're going to get a little piece of note that says your vote has been blocked. It won't say by who, but it will be blocked. And for myself, as somebody who's been waiting for Blue Sophie to finally pounce with that knowledge is power advantage, I was like thinking, all right, how's this going to work? If Steven's thing has to be used before tribal council even begins, can Sophie stand up at tribal council and steal it? And it turns out, based on news articles after the episode aired, Jeff Probst was asked, could it happen? And Jeff said basically no. The block a vote was already in progress, and that means it could not be stolen. Similar to if you were about to play an idol and someone said, hey, I got knowledge is power, I want that idol before you make that last step to Jeffrey Probst. So it's interesting because it's an advantage that I guess Blue Sophie could have taken this episode, but next episode, maybe not, because typically knowledge is power only is allowed to be utilized at tribal council. And if Steven's advantage is activated before tribal council even begins, then Blue Sophie can't take it. But Blue Sophie surely can take Rizzo's idol. And as we know with any journey, it's not just doing the challenge, whether you get your vote or you get the advantage. You have to come back and play the back half of this challenge, which is what to tell your tribe when you come back. And I was glad that Steven just straight up said, hey, I'm back. I got an advantage. Just to let you know, I have my vote. I have my advantage. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I got it. And I thought that was brilliant from Steven's part because he's cooked anyway, right? So he might as well tell them, I've got something. So tread lightly with how you talk about me these days, okay? Now, they don't know it's just a block a vote because that could be worked around. We saw all the votes empty out on Yellow Sophie today, and the block a vote wouldn't have meant anything. But if they think it's something more gnarly, then that's something that I think is really useful in Steven's favor. So I think he handled that perfectly correctly, to the point where Rizzo actually is, one, freaked out by it, and two, he took a guess as to what the advantages is, and he has a huge amount of confidence that it is a steal vote, which is, like Steven says, one level above what Steven actually has. That means it's like a 2-vote swing, whereas Steven, in reality, he's only got a 1-vote swing. Allowing all this to marinate, all this uncertainty to marinate about the advantage is only going to be a huge benefit for Steven, as opposed to if he told him what it was or he lied. Immunity challenge time. As you know, they always start off with Jeff bringing everyone in, saying, how you feeling? Here's what you're doing today for immunity and reward. Jeff was like, oh, Blue Sophie, you seem like you know what it is. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you actually lay it all on me? And Blue Sophie was like, nah, I'm good. And I fucking love that from you, Blue Sophie. Yes, Sophie Bellardi. I love that. I sat there and I laughed out loud because you know what? If there's anything I'm a hater for on this channel, because I try not to be, Survivor Super Fun Time Show, I try to be fun about it. But if there's anything I'm a hater for, it's Jeff Probst's bullshit kindergarten teacher antics. I hate it. I know he's having fun, but he's having fun at the cost of my viewing experience. And I know he probably thinks it's the funniest thing in the world to have people imitate him or do gargoyle poses and eat Twizzlers and shit during tribal council. But I hate it. I really don't like it. It's one of the main deterrents for me being a Survivor fan. Queen Sophie Bellardi ended up denying Jeffrey Probst like he was trying to hit on her at a Miami bar. Steven picked up the pieces and decided to play along with his kindergarten act. Unfortunate for Steven, that is a point deducted from your category. That was something that made you feel like you were having fun. So I'm going to give that to you. And who knows, maybe it worked. Maybe you gave you the energy you needed because you got an advantage in this episode. And by God, you got the win in this immunity challenge as well. You kicked ass. Basically, they had to stack blocks and they had a rope attached to them where it could knock over the blocks at any time. They've done variations of this before in the past. I think the variations were better in the past, but you know what? Whatever. It doesn't matter. All these challenges are puzzles balance, endurance. All the challenges are that. So there's not much else to be expected, okay? Steven won. Very happy for Steven to get the necklace. And not only does he have the necklace to protect him going to the final 6, but he's also fighting for a reward where he brings Rizzo and Christina, which I thought was really interesting. At first, I was like, Christina's an obvious one, right? His ride or die at this point. Rizzo, I did not see coming, but it sounds like Steven on Twitter after the episode explained a little bit more, where he said, basically, I took Rizzo so that he couldn't sit and strategize with his people. So basically, that is a good defensive tactic. You take Rizzo away and get him out of the girl's nest over there on Lawatu Beach and bring him over to your side while you eat and just keep a huge factor out of the game. And maybe that was a smart move because the girls all the way back at the beach, and the girls are talking about each other. You have Sage, you got Blue Sophie, you got Savannah talking about Yellow Sophie. You got Yellow Sophie trying to talk to Sage and Blue Sophie about getting rid of Savannah's ass. And it was really fun to see them kind of go back and forth because Sage, you know that she's scorned. She's not liked Savannah for a long time. For the first time in a long time, Savannah's not her number one target. And Yellow Sophie is giving her what she wants. She's saying, let's get rid of Savannah. And Sage is just not into it. Blue Sophie's not sure which way she's going. Yellow Sophie has no idea the fix is in. But I did enjoy some of the water well conversations with Blue Sophie and Yellow Sophie. Although this screenshot that Survivor put out is a very unfortunate one. But I enjoyed their strategic talks. And it was really exciting going to Tribal Council wondering, is it going to be Yellow Sophie or Baby Savannah? Now, I'll be honest, based on the way it was edited, I knew it was going to be Savannah, and I was pretty sure it was going to be Yellow Sophie and no one else. I just wasn't sure it was going to be unanimous. Also, side note, why is the Kella sign still up at Lawatu Beach? Like, I know it was Kella once upon a time, but it's not anymore. Game's almost over, Probst. Also, side note, Savannah with the bandana is a deadly look. One of the best looks I've seen in all of Survivor. I mean, the sweater, face card, bandana combination that Savannah's got going on. Oh, I love it. I will say, going to Tribal Council, it wasn't overly interesting. Since it ended up being a unanimous vote, I don't think the conversation was all that fun. The only thing that was particularly interesting, and one of the more interesting things that happened at any of the Tribal Councils this season, was kind of a little spat between Christina and Savannah. And it was interesting because I was like, yo, this is some legitimate shade being thrown right now. Christina's basically saying there's no question where my vote's going tonight because I don't like Savannah. And Savannah's going, ha, 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 ha. I think we have a love-hate relationship. And meanwhile, they're all just, to each other. And I get it. It's because they don't like each other. So what else can you do? I think for Christina laying it on as thick as she did that she didn't like Savannah and she was going to throw her fake vote on her. I thought that was aggressive for who Christina is, but it sounds like some of that's maybe a little bit of an act. And Savannah being able to say like, oh, no, it's, there's mutual love and respect here, even though Savannah clearly does not like Christina either. I thought that was also handled and defended as well as it probably could be. So I enjoyed the exchange, but I do think that considering the unanimous vote out of Yellow Sophie at the end of the episode, I have to say probably a lot of this was theater, even though I think that they really don't like each other. I think that obviously it was amplified so that Yellow Sophie could feel a little more secure. I mean, for all you wrestling fans out there, you all know that the best storylines are scripted ones that have some basis in reality of actual beef between the wrestlers themselves. And more or less, I think that's what happened with Christina and Savannah here. So going into Tribal Council this night, there's really 4 things we want to know, right? First of all, who's going home? Yellow Sophie. 2, is Rizzo going to use his idol? No, he didn't. 3, is Blue Sophie going to use her knowledge as power? No, she didn't do it either. Still no one knows. And number 4, is Steven going to use his block a vote? No. So that means going into the next episode, we now have all these advantages on the board still. Sophie's the only one with an advantage no one knows about. Steven has an advantage, but it's one that looks like can't be stolen if he activates it this episode, but it could massively swing the way the next vote is going to go. And 3, Rizzo should probably use his idol at this point, but it's probably good until the final 5. So can he make it one more vote with that idol in his pocket and guarantee the final 4? I really hope Blue Sophie doesn't let that happen because she's been playing Knowledge's Power perfectly and she just needs to stick the landing, and I'm excited to see if she does. This is a great time for her to make a move on Savannah and Rizzo. I mean, why not go with the other side versus Savannah and Rizzo? Really, right now, Blue Sophie needs to get some respect from the jury, and I want her to. I think she needs to use Knowledge as Power and probably take Rizzo's idol, whether she uses it or not. This vote, she needs to take that idol. And that's mainly so that if she gets to the final 3 chairs with Rizzo, Savannah, Christina, Steven, whoever, she needs to be able to talk about what she did in the game and show proof of it. Rizzo's biggest sin is that he's too much of a showman. He stood up and told everyone, I got Juwan out. I'm going to play a fake idol. Everyone knows what I got and they still can't get me out. Blue Sophie needs to give the jury a reason to vote for her versus other people. You know, people like Survivor fans, they talk all the time about how Charlie in Survivor 46 was robbed. This strategic genius. How could he have not won the game? How did that bitter old wench Maria not vote for the clearly obvious winner? Well, the reason is because he didn't make it obvious to the jury. The jury is the only one that matters. And Blue Sophie, even though we're watching and she's played a really awesome game, if they don't know it, it doesn't matter. So she needs to utilize this knowledge is power if she really wants to win the game. And I know it makes a lot of sense to keep it in your pocket and never use it. That's brilliant in itself. It's true, but it's not sexy. And you know what? You got to make it sexy. Hips and nips. Got to be sexy. Otherwise, we don't eat. So I really hope that Blue Sophie finally pulls that thing out of her shoe and ends up making a big move in the next episode. And we get to see the true potential of Blue Sophie. Because otherwise, it will be Savannah's game. Sage is right. I've lost all faith that Riz is going to win the game. I think he showmanshiped his way out of the game. So he's going to go one way or another, I think. This is Blue Sophie's chance to stop Savannah or Steven. Steven could win the game. I don't think he will, but he could. I think Christina's already stopped, so I'm not super worried about her. And Sage has been pretty respectable, so I'm not going to say she doesn't have a chance, but I don't think so. But it's exciting. Going to the next episode, we have all these advantages on the line. It's going to be super exciting to see how they utilize these things. It's going to be awesome. I love when seasons ultimately get to their end because, you know, in the pre-merge it was a little boring, but by the end, now I understand why Jeff Probst likes this season so much. But usually when Jeff says a season is great, it usually isn't that great. But I think this one is doing well. I think it will age really, really well. Although a serious sin of theirs was purpling yellow Sophie in the pre-merge. And that happens a lot of times when your tribe is really successful. But like we got to learn about Venus and Hunter and Tevin in Survivor 46, even though they won all the time. Literally, Nami never lost. But for some reason, yellow Sophie, the only thing we learned about her was that Matt wanted her out. And that's it. Otherwise, yellow Sophie is awesome. Impossible face card, beast in challenges, and really fun. So that was a big Survivor sin for Survivor 49. I'm sad she's out of the game. Love yellow Sophie. Hope she comes back later on in the future. It'd be so fun to watch her play the game again. But that's going to do it for the episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Survivor 49 this week and, you know, this recap as well. Any suggestions or thoughts you want me to comment, please let me know down below. Exciting Survivor 50 stuff we'll be talking about in the off season. I already have my countdown to Survivor 50 list kind of laid out in my head. The 10 episodes that Jeff Probst said they're going to air to get all the fans prepped ahead of time. I already made my list of 10 episodes that I believe should be the ones that will be aired. It's realistically, I'm trying to put my brain in Jeff Probst's brain, which is very difficult, but I tried to do it. And I think I'm going to have a pretty good comparison. And we'll see. Maybe I'll get some players to hop on and we'll talk about what we think our top 10 should be. But that's going to do it. Hope you have an amazing day, everyone. You take care. Goodbye. Also, this video is dedicated to Lauren Hart. You're wonderful.